Hi, my name is James. I'm a foot and ankle specialist, and today I'm going to talk you through 3 of the best shoes for Morton's Neuroma relief. Now, each shoe have different types of width, different types of stability, cushioning and performance, and it's important to listen to all different aspects of that because that can influence what effects it has on your feet and on your pain. Now, all information in the video is for educational purposes and it shouldn't be used to substitute medical advice. The first thing we're going to talk about is cushioning. And in this shoe, the Gaviota 5, we've got 36mm of cushion on the rear foot, 30 on the forefoot, giving you a 6mm difference from the back to the front of the shoe. Now that's really important because when we think about heel drop, the higher the drop, the more pressure it is on the forefoot, especially when you're standing. So a lower drop creates a more even distribution of pressure across the foot. And then what we look for is a rocker in the shoe. So as you can see from the midsole to the forefoot, it curves upward, and that assists with the propulsion phase of the gait cycle. It reduces the amount of pressure underneath the ball of your foot and facilitates a nice push through motion. So in the Gaviota, you have a 6mm drop, a nice rocker and super soft cushioning. It's got Hoka EVA cushioning, which is super soft, super plush. It feels like you're walking on a cloud. In contrast to that, you've got the Altra Paradigm 7. So this has the Ego Max cushioning in it, which is a lot firmer than what you get in the Hoka. So when you apply pressure to it, you don't sink into it as much during the initial contact phase of the gait cycle. There's a big difference in this in that it has a 0mm drop from the back to the front of the shoe. Now this can take a lot of getting used to if you haven't tried it before. So we typically recommend if you're on an 8 to 10mm, dropping down to a 6 to 5mm before dropping down to a 0 drop shoe. The other things to be aware of with a 0 drop shoe is it places extra pressure on the Achilles tendon. So if you have any history of Achilles tendinopathy, then you might want to avoid this type of shoe. Otherwise, if it's purely for metatarsalgia or Morton's Neuroma, having a 0 drop shoe creates a nice even distribution of pressure across the forefoot. It's got a nice rocker, not as aggressive as what you get in the Gaviota, but still significantly enough to reduce the pressure on the forefoot. Overall, as 30mm of cushioning in the shoe, a little bit firmer, and a really good shoe if you're looking for a 0 drop shoe. Then we have the Topo Olympus 2. So it's a max cushion shoe from the Topo range. It has 38mm of cushion in the rear foot, 33 in the forefoot, giving a 5mm drop. Comes in as the lightest of all 3 shoes at 275 grams versus 279 grams and 310 grams in the Gaviota, all in a men's size 9 US. It has a really nice aggressive forefoot rocker without too much spring, a nice 5mm drop from the back to the front of the shoe, and it's got quite balanced cushioning. So you sink into it a little bit, but there is a little bit of energy return, a bit more response than what you get in the Altra, and you don't sink into it as much as you do in the Gaviota. So it's a nice blend between the 2 shoes, and it's a 5mm, so it also sits in the middle of them in terms of the heel drop. Then in terms of the stability of all 3 shoes, we've got a stable neutral in the Topo, more towards a stability shoe or mild stability shoe in the Paradigm, and then we've got a max stability shoe in the Gaviota. So the Gaviota provides stability by having a H frame underneath the sole of the shoe, so you've got more denser cushion on either side of the shoe and then across the middle of the shoe, and that just reduces the amount of foam compresses as you apply weight to it, so it tries to keep you nice and centered in the shoe as you move throughout the gait cycle. Has a nice broad base of support, it doesn't narrow too much in the midsole, that just increases the amount of contact that you have with the ground, and it's got some nice sole flare, and that's where the sole comes out wider than where your foot sits in the shoe, again increasing the amount of contact you have with the ground, therefore increasing your stability. It also has a nice stable heel counter and some sidewalls that are built up on the inside and on the outside of the heel. They help to cradle your heel in the shoe to reduce how much your heel moves on top of the shoe, and also helping to control those pronation forces. In the Paradigm, we have some similar features, so we have a broad base of support underneath the shoe. We don't have as much sole flare as what we get in the Gaviota, but we do have this guide rail system, which are pretty much like big side whorls, and they go nearly halfway up the shoe on the heel, on the inside and on the outside, again just giving that extra bit of stability to keep you centered in the shoe. Interestingly, they don't have a heel counter, so it's nice and soft on the back of the shoe, so that's really helpful if you have insertion Achilles tendinopathy or Haglund's deformity, because it won't place as much pressure on the back of the heel. Then finally with the Topo, it's a classic neutral shoe. It does have a posterior lateral heel bevel, so it's a little bit of a bumper on the inside of the shoe, so when you hit down it reduces how much you move inward. Then it has some nice mild sidewalls on the inside and on the outside of the shoe, and then again it has that nice really broad forefoot that doesn't narrow too much through the midfoot, so just giving you that big platform to place your foot on, increasing the contact with the ground, inherently making the shoe a bit more stable. Then as we move up the shoe into the toe box, one of the most important aspects when you've got Morton's Neuroma, we want a really wide toe box, and they do it in different ways in all three shoes. So in the Gaviota, historically Hoka have a very narrow fit, very tapered toe box, and they completely changed it when they upgraded the Gaviota 4 to the Gaviota 5. So you've got moderate amount of space in the heel and in the midfoot, and then it really broadens out in the forefoot and then narrows a little bit at the big toe. So you've got loads of space for your toes to splay, but just be aware that it just tapers a little bit at the forefoot. So those of you who have a normal width foot and they want a little bit extra space and a maximum stability shoe, the Gaviota can be an excellent option. In the contrast to that, with the Altra, it's got an anatomical fit, so it has moderate width on the heel and the midfoot, and then it really expands in the forefoot, allowing your toes to splay, and you've got plenty of space there for where your fifth metatarsal or your baby toe should go. So you've loads of space for your toes to splay out there, really comfortable. Then we think the best fit of all the shoes on the market has been the Topo. So they've made it really snug in the heel and in the midfoot, but super broad in the forefoot. And why that is really helpful for a lot of our patients is that often they have a normal foot in the heel and the midfoot, and then they get a bunion or Morton's Neuroma, and they get a very broad forefoot, and they need lots of space to splay their toes. And when they normally get a wider version in other shoes, the whole shoe gets wider and the foot is just swimming in the shoe and moving side to side. So you get a nice snug lockdown with the laces, a nice padded tongue, and a nice heel counter that's padded on the Topo, keeps your foot nice and locked in, and then loads of space for your toes to splay. So similarly, you've got a nice lockdown on both shoes. You've got a bit more padding on the Hoka Gaviota 5, and that just adds into that extra weight, that heavier shoe. So in terms of their use case, all of them can be used for standing all day, for walking for long periods of time, not a problem. If you're looking for a maximalist stability shoe with lots of cushioning and space in the toe box, and you've got a Morton's Neuroma, the Gaviota 5 is a good option for you. If you're looking for a mild to moderate stability shoe, a little bit firmer cushioning, a bit more response than what you get in the Gaviota with an anatomical toe box, but it is a zero drop, then you look at the Altra. If you're looking for something in the middle, a bit of balance cushioning, a bit of response, a bit of zip to it, then we look at the Topo. It's got loads of space in the toe box, a nice rocker in the forefoot, so nothing to worry about there in terms of offloading your Morton's Neuroma. Can be used for daily runs, 5k, 10k, not a problem. We've got links to all three shoes in the description below. If you purchase through the links, it helps fund the channel without affecting the price that you pay. If that's not something that you'd like to do, just liking, sharing or subscribing to the channel makes a big difference to us. If you have any questions on the shoes, please leave them in the comment section below. We can't give specific advice without assessment. And thanks again for watching.